Morning, Facebook. How are we doing? So, I hope you've had a good week so far. Wednesday, what is it? Hump day today. Whatever you're up to, I hope it's been good. I have just come out of a meeting with one of long-term contact of ours. We've been working with her for probably about 3-ish years now, something like that. And she's one of our contacts who works for one of the bigger charities in Milton Keynes, who really focuses primarily on helping to reduce homelessness, helping people to get off the streets into safe, warm, comfortable beds. So we've been working with them for about 3 years, and one of the things we do with them is basically help them. Obviously, as the winter comes, they're very much focused around obviously trying to get people off the streets when it's cold. So they are around all year, but actually they kind of go into overdrive at this sort of time. They kind of switch on about the 4th of November. They switch on like an extra layer of work that they do locally. So we've just had a good catch up and spent some time talking about what's going on in the marketplace at the minute and what the challenges are in terms of housing and all of these sorts of things. And I'm honestly staggered. I'm staggered by just the issue we have around homelessness and the processes in this country and how things work and how they don't work. And it blows my mind up. You know, in Milton Keynes alone, we've got around 200 people who are what's called like registered as sleeping rough. So people that are that they know where they are, they know where they're staying, they know where their home is effectively. On top of that, we've got over 900 families, so not 900 people, 900 families that are currently in emergency accommodation. And many of those are out of town because there's not enough accommodation in town, but we've also got a lot of people from outside of town in accommodation here. So people from Croydon, people from other parts of London and things like that, all staying in emergency accommodation in Milton Keynes. So ultimately, it's just a big fucking mess. Yeah, it's not good. And one of the things, and I've talked about this a lot, I've done a lot of like presentations on this with landlord groups and things like that over the last couple of years. And it's a part of our business that we probably don't tell enough people about and we don't promote enough. But we do a lot of work in terms of trying to help reduce the numbers of homeless people that are sleeping rough in Milton Keynes. And, you know, we actually won an award for it in 2017. We won an Entrepreneurs Award for the work that we're actively doing to use creative property models to invest in a bit more of a socially responsible way and not always think about the money. Yeah, there's a commercial angle to it. Of course there is, it's business, but we as private landlords, as rent-to-rent operators, as buy-to-let landlords, as the owner of blocks of flats, these sorts of things, we actually control the housing stock. We control who we put in and who we don't put in. And what's really interesting to sit and listen to today with my client is a lot of these people that are sleeping rough, they work, they have actual jobs, like full-time jobs. There's one guy that she was telling me about, he is currently sleeping outside Milton Keynes train station, but from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m, Monday to Friday, and then he does like an overtime shift on a weekend, he's working in a logistics warehouse in Milton Keynes. So he's holding down a full-time job, but he can't get accommodation because he can't get together the deposit money to get into the house. So like the getting started money is too much money and it's a barrier for him to be able to actually get accommodation, which ultimately means he's then sleeping rough, which then also means he's got no address. So he can't prove his address to be able to qualify to pass referencing with letting agents and with landlords. What the fuck? As an industry, again, we've got the power to fix this. Yeah, there's things like deposit replacement insurance. Tenants don't actually have to pay deposits anymore for you as an investor or a landlord to remain protected. You can take out deposit replacement insurance, which basically attaches itself to the rent, but it means that tenant doesn't have to get together such a big amount of money to get started and move into a house, which basically completely gets rid of that barrier. But most people don't know about it because it's not, I mean, there's not enough people shouting about it and there's not enough people testing it and playing around with it and wanting to be more socially responsible in the way they run their business. And so it's not widespread enough that it's a thing. This blows my mind. You know, it blows my mind. As a private investor myself, as a landlord myself, I know that I can house people without them having to put big chunks of cash up. So as an industry, why aren't we being more aware of that? And why aren't we doing more to house those sorts of people and help fix this problem. The other issue we've got is around the lettings process and the lending process, and I understand that there is obviously constraints around housing vulnerable people, homeless people, etc. But again, what I've just said, a lot of these people are working, they've been holding down jobs, which means they actually pass referencing because they've got bank accounts, they've been paid, they can prove their income, they can prove affordability. They actually would pass referencing if they could prove their address status. This weird kind of cyclical thing that we're in, where actually there's this, which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, let's just fix that problem. Yeah, let's just, as an industry, let's work a little bit harder to try and invest in a more socially responsible way. As a business, we've got a goal of creating and contributing 250 homes in the next 10 years to people who wouldn't traditionally be able to get on the housing ladder. That's something that's really, really kind of sits under all the decisions that I make in the business. But before I get to the point where I'm contributing 250 homes into 10 years, we can actually just house one person, 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Yeah. A lot of people in this industry are really eager to understand how they can support homeless people, how they can support more vulnerable people, how they can invest in a more socially responsible way to help people get off the streets, to help people to overcome challenges that they've got, etc., etc. As an industry, we're in control of that. But most people don't know how to do it because they haven't been able to really get the answers to the questions. I've spent 3.5 years now working in this space, trying to figure out solutions in terms of insurances, in terms of lending, in terms of access to stock, in terms of the lettings process, in terms of right to rent checks, in terms of affordability checks. And we are actively doing this in our business. It's really important to me. So really, I just wanted to chuck this up there. And I've come out of this meeting this morning and I'm like, how is there 200 people sleeping rough in Milton Keynes and 200 empty homes? It doesn't make sense to me. So I thought I'd chuck this out there. If anybody is interested in learning about how we have managed to house these sorts of people that have got the jobs, you know, they can afford to pay your rent, people that want to get started in proper accommodation instead of sleeping under bridges and things like that, especially now it's winter and it's, you know, it was freezing in my house this morning. It was freezing cold when I was making my coffee this morning. I can't even begin to imagine what it must be like sleeping out in the cold under a bridge in the middle of fucking January. We as an industry have a responsibility to work a bit fucking harder to try and solve this problem. And actually, we have the power to do it if we put the effort in to work as a community and as an industry to want to do it. So if anybody is interested in discovering how we do this, how you can invest in the projects that we're doing to specifically create social housing, from a rent-to-rent perspective, how this works in terms of emergency accommodation, but also the longer-term accommodation for working people, I'd love to have a chat with you about it. Maybe I can invite some people up to our office or something like that and we can talk about how you can get involved in some of the stuff that we're doing. But ultimately, I just want to chuck it out there and tell you that if you want to invest in a more socially responsible way, there's totally loads of options for you to do it. You just need to actually take some action to figure out how to do it. We've spent a lot of hours, I can't even tell you the number of hours researching this stuff. And yes, there are some challenges, but actually they're fixable. You can totally overcome them. The solutions are out there if you want them. So I just thought I'd chuck that out there. A little bit of a rant because I've come out of my meeting a bit upset that actually we still have got such a problem and we have the solutions, but as an industry, we're not working collaboratively to fix them. So we definitely can do that. So let's work a bit harder. Let's make it happen. Have an amazing day, whatever you guys are up to. I'll catch you later. I'm going into a few more meetings now after I've made coffee. So have a good day and I'll speak to you soon. See you later. Bye.